The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, interactive, covering the latest in wrestling and beyond. You're listening to the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
The Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders, coming at you with an all-new episode of the RCWR Show on Tuesday night, February 19th. 2013, 1 minute past the 11 o'clock hour on the East Coast. Thank you all so much for tuning in to tonight's episode. Going to be joined by co-host Diamond K in just a few minutes. While we're waiting, take this time out, let you all know we got the chat room that's open for you all right now at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show. Feel free to hop on in there when you get a free moment. Share some of your comments about some of the topics that we're going to be covering on tonight's show. You can also take the time out to interact with us on Twitter. Hit us up at Infinity1Prod. And for a little bit of news you can use, hit us up on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. I hope y'all had a fantastic weekend. I know in some parts it was kind of nice and pleasantly warm. Gave you a chance to retire your winter coats for a little bit. So, you know what that means. We got spring, cherry blossoms, all that good stuff's going to be coming. It's going to be nice to retire the winter clothes, at least for a good while. Over here, it was pretty good at my end. I had a very good weekend. Of course, I capped off the weekend checking out that Elimination pay-per-view by the WWE. And definitely I want to take this time out to thank those of you that took time out to interact with me during the course of that event. And some of you had shared your thoughts of the event on Twitter, and you also had shared some of your thoughts of the pay-per-view in our chat room and when you called in. So I greatly appreciate you all for that, and let's keep it rocking and rolling. I know we got a couple of new listeners that added us to their favorite station on Stitcher. Thank you to you all. Welcome. Hope you enjoy all the great content. And I also see that we have picked up a few new listeners on Blog Talk Radio. Thank you to those of you. Hope you enjoy all the great content. And remember, if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, you want to make sure that you do, man. We do a lot of exclusives from time to time that you're only going to be able to catch on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, do so. It's over at the RCWR Show. Again, on YouTube at the RCWR Show. All right, so while I'm still giving Diamond K a couple of more minutes, the man is multi-talented. He is a renaissance man. He does a little bit of everything. I'm trying to give him enough time to make sure he does his thing, and then he could just come on in, because sometimes I kind of get him in a bad spot, and I don't like when I get him in a bad spot. So we'll slide him on in when we can, and we'll just get him caught up on whatever it is that we're covering tonight. But let's pick up right where we left off. Now, for those of you that do subscribe to our YouTube channel, you know you guys get first crack at my thoughts of Monday's WWE Raw. We set it up so that we go a little bit more in depth about what all had went down. And one of the key points that I want to bring up tonight, I want to talk about the thing that went down with The Rock there, where he unveiled a new WWE title. I mean, it was a moment that we had heard about for several months now. We were wondering when this moment was going to happen. For some of us, it didn't quite click in the head when we heard that tonight was going to be a Rock celebration night. None of us really pictured that, okay, this is probably going to be the night that The Rock unveils a new WWE title. But lo and behold, that's exactly what had went down on Monday night. And it was just one of those type of moments where you saw it, you say, oh, man, this is going to kick ass. This is going to be awesome. How's it look? And, you know, I must say, I really wasn't that shocked. I mean, there was a part of me that remembered seeing the original design of the title months back. And if you've been listening to our show long enough, you guys know that it was right around the summertime that we were one of the first websites to share with you all the rough draft design of the WWE title. And we even shared it on our Facebook page, and a lot of folks, They thought that it was a joke. A lot of folks were under the impression that it wasn't the real design, while there was a small majority of you all that said, okay, well, hopefully the belt design isn't done because so far it looks very incomplete. And this was at a time where it didn't have any gold, none of that. It was just raw material. It was like still in that carving process was the picture that we had of the title. So I was a little bit stunned when I saw the design that The Rock unveiled. I'm like, I was like, oh, new title. Oh, I've seen this before. But, you know, I must admit, it was the words that Dwayne The Rock Johnson said that really had me kick back and go, this is very interesting. And I thought it was very interesting that he sat up and said, okay, you know, I'm going to go to WrestleMania to defend the WWE title, but I'm not going to be defending the title. You know, it's not going to be this title that's going to be up for grabs. You know, with all due respect, a lot of great men, they've held this title, but the way that this title looks now, this is basically a kid's toy. It spins. A real WWE title, it shouldn't even be all that. It should be a man's title. It should be a title that people can be very proud of. And he would even bring up the names of Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hitman Hart. Great names that he mentioned, setting up the unveiling of this new title. And, you know, on the one hand, you know, the title's been getting a few mixed reviews. Mostly it's been positive. Everybody is happy that the spinner design is officially in the books now. We're done with it. And, I mean, 8 years is definitely a long time to be pushing that type of a belt. So it was definitely good to see it get sent off into the sunset. But the words that The Rock had said there, it just really just exploded a light bulb in my head, because when I heard that, I'm saying to myself two things. The first thing I'm saying to myself is, okay, this truly is the era, a new era at that, for the WWE, as they're now going to be in an era of trying to bring back importance to the title. That was my takeaway of the things that The Rock was saying. I got the impression that all the little kiddie stuff, you know, it's now time to go back to school. It's now time to really make that title be relevant again. And though the design of the title may be a little bit too simple, sometimes a little bit of simple is the best way to go. And, yeah, it's a big old freaking W, but think about it for a second. Just from a marketing standpoint, there's no undeniable mistake that when you see that title, you're going to be like, that's a WWE belt. Think about the previous belts that we've seen over the years, especially if you go as far back to the 80s, the 70s. Just think about how the titles have been all the way up to this point. And just from that type of a marketing standpoint, the design, it does meet its purpose very well. That is one huge-ass belt. Let me just say that. I think if Big Show were to ever win that bad boy, it looks like he wouldn't have a problem putting that bad boy around his waist. That's how it's looking to me right now. But, you know, the other thing that I looked at when I saw this unveiling of a new title, and I can't wait for Diamond K to get in here. Hopefully he'll be joining me in a few minutes. Last I checked, he knows we're supposed to be doing a show tonight, so hopefully he's not sleeping right now. But I'm just going to keep the fort going. Hey, I've been flying solo before, so you guys know I can handle my own pretty good over here. We don't need Batman and Robin, but I must admit I do like having a sidekick. But let's set this up properly for you guys. You know, the other thing that I looked at when I thought about The Rock unveiling this new title, there was a part of me that kind of felt a little nostalgic. I kind of felt a little melancholy, because I looked at this new unveiling and I said to myself, well, to me, I looked at it in part of it being the kiss of death for pro wrestling. Gone are the days where we have guys like Triple H, The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar. I believe I said Bret Hitman Hart. If I didn't, then put him in there. But, gone are those days of pure wrestling guys. You know what I'm saying, boys and girls? Gone are those days. Gone are the days where you can sit up and watch a 45-minute match that will end in a draw. Gone are the days where you have a match that could just possibly end in, no DQ, they ran out of time, or an Iron Man match. Gone are those days. If you're lucky, you're going to be able to see just a little glimpse of how wrestling was back in the 90s and the 80s when you see maybe one particular type of match on Raw, Main Event, or SmackDown, but it's not consistent. The flow isn't the same for the entire time you're watching that show. Gone are those days. Now we are truly in an era where it is all about social media. I mean, let's be for real here. Today's wrestling fans, they dare not want to sit up and watch a 40-minute match. They have a very short attention span. They can do 15 to 25 minutes, but my God, man, if you're going to go a little bit longer than that, you're really pulling teeth. That's just how the average wrestling fan is today. And with the day and age, with the way social media is now, a lot of folks, they're hugely distracted. You got the Twitter, you got the Facebook, you got the Instagram, MySpace if you're still using that. You got the texting and surfing the web, all these cool things that you can do on your phone. I mean, need a perfect example? Go to your favorite movie theater next time around and just pick out a major blockbuster movie that a lot of people are eagerly anticipating to go see, right? And just peep this out next time. Just look around you. Mind your surroundings. Look at the amount of people that really aren't going to be into the movie like that because they're going to be kicking back and they're going to be tweeting, they're going to be texting, and they're not really just putting down the phone and just enjoying what's playing out before their very eyes. And that's the type of day and age that we live in, unfortunately. And, it sucks, quite honestly. It really sucks. And, we're in an era now where folks want to be entertained, but the attention span, that's what it all boils down to. And when I look at WWE, I think about all the new moves that they've made recently. They have embarked on a pretty moderately successful movie studios where they're working with B-list, C-list actors. They're kind of getting there. They have their own little record production company. They're putting out music. Seems like every time you turn around, they're always putting something out, whether it be on a monthly basis or releasing singles on a weekly basis. They're always releasing some type of music content. They are always launching original shows, whether it be on YouTube or they're doing something on Hulu. They're the force behind some of these major recording artists that are having these great concerts. Great example, Rolling Stones. Look at that One More Shot pay-per-view that they had helped produce. Definitely a sign that they are not done venturing into that. Not by a long shot. I would expect more big concert events like that to happen for them with major recording artists. I mean, they are just dipping into a little bit of everything, and this really is the era of entertainment. I don't really look at it as the era of pro wrestling. So it's a little bit of, I think you guys can understand why on the one hand I feel the way that I do in a good way about the new belt, but then why I feel kind of bad, because when you really think about it, we are ushering in that type of an era, both combined, and it's so interesting because this is all coming at a time right now where we have Triple H that was successful in reaching out to Mr. Bruno Sammartino, get him inducted into the Hall of Fame, and now it looks like Bruno is going to be making more than just one appearance, as now we're learning not only is he going to show up at the Hall of Fame, but apparently he's going to be showing up the very next night on Raw, and looks like breaking news, he's actually going to be making another appearance after that. So he's doing about at least 3-4 appearances all right around WrestleMania weekend going into the beginning of the new week. Good stuff right there. But, you know, we see guys like Triple H reaching out to legendary wrestlers of the past to try to teach these new wrestlers a little bit of old school, because unfortunately today's wrestlers, they don't have that it. They don't have that thing that Triple H had, or what Bret Hart had, or Kurt Angle had. They don't have that it factor. And but don't take my word for it. Let's see what Diamond K thinks about that. Diamond, I don't know how much you had heard there, buddy, but I was telling the folks how it seems like today's wrestling audience, the attention span is, it's all short and everything. And I was looking at the unveiling there of that new title, both in a good way and a bad way. In a nutshell, I basically said, on the one hand, you can say that it looks like WWE is trying to get back to basics with how wrestling was back in the 90s, 80s, a little bit before that. But then on the other hand, you just think about all the different type of projects that WWE has been embarking in with pay-per-view events with major recording artists, and dipping into the movies, the music, and, to me, it kind of signified also the era of just pure entertainment era, not necessarily a wrestling era. Well, what was your takeaway from that?
As far as the title itself?
Yeah, the unveiling of it. What did it symbolize to you?
Well, to me it symbolized I don't want to say the passing of a torch, but I want to say the dawn of a new era. I think that the Cena era is coming to a close as far as him being a face. I thought that this was a significant step in moving in that direction. We've had that spinner belt for, I didn't even realize it's been 8 years, but as The Rock said, it was 8 years with the spinner belt. I like the new title. It's different. It's flashy, but I thought that it was time to move forward. The belt was stale, and in the days of when the SmackDown title was the WCW or the NWA title, it didn't really get stale too often. I think that was the premier belt. But there were other belts before, never so often. You have to freshen things up, and I looked at it like that. But I think that this really proves that Cena is going to go heel sometime in the near future. I mean, they changed the belt. That was his belt, and so I looked at it from that standpoint. I liked the way that they did it. They probably have wanted to change the title for a while. I think I remember hearing some rumblings about that, but they didn't have a way to do it. And The Rock presented that the way to get that done. And it was a perfect opportunity with him doing it. And I don't really have a problem with the way it was done, the way that it's been handled. I don't really have a problem with it.
Do you think this is really ushering in the era of entertainment, though, or we got to keep in the back of our minds that Triple H, he's reaching out, the guys like Bruno Sammartino, just as the way he was taught by Killer Kowalski, and he learned what he learned by watching hours and hours of video footage of Harley Race, Ric Flair, today's era of wrestlers, I mean, we already know this. It's a well-known fact. They, no matter what promotion, they're caught up in the video games and the texting and all of that. He's trying to bring in that veteranship and teach these wrestlers how to have that total package. Seeing this new title get ushered in, keeping in mind what Triple H is trying to do, set it up when he gets ready to take this bad boy over. Do you think he's going to be successful in having wrestling go back to the way it was, where one could actually be proud of who the champion is and know that, okay, this guy, whoever this champion is, not only is he a great wrestler, but the promotion itself, it is all about straight-up wrestling?
Well, I don't think that era is coming back. I think that we've been in the entertainment era, and we're definitely going to stay in there. I think that Triple H is a great asset, more so than I'm sure that Vince would have liked Shane to be. And he's the total package, if you will. He has the experience of being a performer, a wrestler, but he also has a mind for the business and a genuine love for the business, and he's a fan of wrestling. With that being said, I think that he's going to do what's best for both, and I think he's going to create the best balancing act between the two worlds. I don't think we could ask for a better person to be in charge going forward, because he has the understanding of the boys, but he understands the business part.
Right.
Vince McMahon is the best promoter, that wrestling promoter ever. And from that standpoint, nobody makes more money than Vince makes. So with that being said, he's the best promoter.
Yeah.
So I think we're in good hands. This is definitely the entertainment era. We've been in that era, but I think that this was more so symbolic, in ushering it in. But we've been in it
for a while.
Yeah.
At least almost a decade, maybe, if not a little bit more. We've officially been in the entertainment era.
Yeah, I think once we left the Attitude Era, it became the entertainment era.
Yeah. And it's
funny,
I
guess once they went public,
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned the whole thing with the belt there, because I was telling the folks how we had first heard the rumblings that the title was supposed to go into this new design. It was supposed to go into effect like sometime last year, but I actually did a little bit of homework for you guys tonight, and I was actually able to find out a little bit of dirt on what was up with this title. And it looks as if this belt was supposed to be going down at least 18 months ago. Now, the backstory to this is Stansky's plan. That's the guy who mainly does their belts for them. He's handles the whole marketing side and all that. His plan was to make the title instantly recognizable, and that eventually led the team to take the iconic WWE, the W, which was barely legible on the older variations of the championships, and basically put it front and center on the spinner version and make it so that, you got the whole big jewel-encrusted thing going on. And but he also had the urge to use the traditional aspects of the title, namely the metal plates, large letter strap, try to use it in a unique way. So, that kind of gives you a little bit of insight. This has been in the rumblings for the past 18 months, but Diamond, as you pointed out, they were just trying to figure out the right setup to unveil the new title. And just to kind of echo this, it was actually March of last year. John Cena had appeared on Mix 106.1 out in Philadelphia, and he recently, not recently, but back then, he was talking about the current WWE title design. This is a direct quote right here, and this is his take on what was at the time the spinner WWE design. Direct quote: "Being the guy who truly invented it, it needs to change. It has been the way it's been for years now. It's had its run. It doesn't even spin anymore. It's heavy. It's awkward. It really is. An average championship belt weighs about 12 pounds. The current WWE spinning championship weighs 27 pounds. So we need a rehash. I'm proactively trying to do that, but I've only got so much stroke, guys. I can't do everything." So I guess, he kind of owes the new title design largely in part to The Rock right there. And I thought this was some very interesting homework, Diamond, because this had me thinking about how many times within, the past recent years has the titles changed, what were some of the circumstances. And I got a little bit of interesting homework. I don't know how many of you guys, and this is going to test you all's memories out, definitely tested my memory out, but remember the Big Green title? Big Green is what they nicknamed it. I'm going to take you guys, Big Green. I'm going to take you guys far back, 1984. That was when Hulk Hogan took the title from the Iron Sheik. And
the eagle on it.
Yeah. It was big gold and big gold in the center there, and it was a green letter strap. Now, the backstory to the Big Green title is that it was made out of metal. It was very thin, flimsy, and that basically when WWE went to Reggie Parks, who they had a good relationship for a lot of years making their belts, they had replaced that title in 1984 with the silver belt that was made by Reggie. And legend has it that Big Green was put into a trash dumpster outside an arena the day that the new title was given to Hulk Hogan. And, of course, there was the Hogan 85 title that had replaced 84, and that had went on to be 86. I'll give you guys a little bit of a backstory, try to jog your memory. Late 1985, the belt had changed. Vince McMahon, he felt basically the belt looked cheap in silver and opposed to the other belts, which were in gold. So he had it changed again, and the new belt was called Hogan 86 and was completely different from Hogan 84 and 85. If you know your belts, that new belt, it had a much bigger main plate with a dual-plated gold-silver effect. Also had a large globe in the center, and it was the first belt to carry the famous WWF block logo, made famous throughout the 80s for a majority of the 90s. And remember the Hogan belt from 1986 that had came at the time where during Hogan's entrance to the ring at WrestleMania 3, the late Gorilla Monsoon, he commented that win, lose, or draw, that would be the last time that particular belt would be worn to the ring, and the champion would instead carry the huge belt that was created in the run-up to WrestleMania 3, which was big enough to fit a giant, as they dubbed it. And that was 86. Remember, Andre the Giant, he had his own version of the strap when he had it in 87. And eventually there was a Andre 87 second edition that had a white strap. That is now, that's been donated to Planet Hollywood by Vince McMahon. Let me see, 87. Let me see, we had got the Hogan 86 belt until February 1988, where during an episode of Saturday night's main event called The Main Event, due to airing on a Friday night, Hogan wrestled Andre the Giant. During his pre-match backstage promo with Mean Gene, Hogan was wearing the Hogan 86, but when he stepped out through the curtain, he was wearing the brand new Winged Eagle, which would continue to be used as the WWF title for the next decade. So you all know about that Winged Eagle. Remember, there was a blue letter strap version of it as well and a yellow strap version. I believe those two eras was around the time that Ultimate Warrior won, so that's why the color scheme had changed right there. And throughout the years, that specific belt, people such as Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, Ric Flair, Bret Hart, Yokozuna, Diesel, Sergeant Slaughter, Bob Backlund, they pretty much all had that belt right on up until it was replaced by Big Eagle on Raw the night after WrestleMania 14 in 1998. That should give you guys a little bit of a memory jogger. That's where we had got the original blue strap WWF block logo with the Big Eagle on it. And eventually that would go into the Smoking Skull belt. We all know the history of the Smoking Skull belt, so we don't need to go into that one. Eventually we saw the black strap WWF scratch logo, Big Eagle, little scratch right up under the WWF. Undisputed WWF, for those of you that might not know your history with that one, back when Jericho won both the WWF and the world title in December 2001, a new belt was ordered to debut at WrestleMania 18, and Triple H had defeated Y2J for the Big Eagle at WrestleMania 18, and then shortly after, the Undisputed title version 1 was unveiled on TV by Ric Flair and presented to Triple H. Now, with regards to that title, Triple H held it, but he lost it to Hulk Hogan, and Hogan was the last ever WWF heavyweight champion, and it was during his reign that the belt was altered. The WWF logo paint over the head was removed so that it could basically read WWE and World Wrestling Federation. The name and all that was covered and painted over to read World Wrestling Entertainment. And Triple H, Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, those were the only guys that actually ended up holding that belt. Third version was released. Not really that much of a difference from the second version, but the guys that held the Undisputed third version was Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, Big Show, Eddie Guerrero, JBL, and John Cena, before Cena replaced it with the classic spinner version 1 belt. And, of course, that would lead to a second version before it became the Edge version. And, folks, that was pretty much the last version of the title up until The Rock had it, because if you know your belts, that WWE title, the old one there, Diamond, it didn't spin for a good moment. It only spun that night, as it was definitely made out to be symbolic of Rock retiring it. But when Edge won it, it didn't spin.
Right.
Yeah, so nice little history there. You know, I know some of y'all was probably like, you know, I hope you appreciate that, because I took the time out. It just had me thinking, how many times have we seen the belt change over the years? And I didn't want to go way, way back, but I thought that era was pretty good right there.
Yeah.
I see our boy, what's his face, Zeb Coulter is making headlines in a very, very bad way, Diamond. But we tried to warn folks of what to expect here. It looks like he's pissed off the Tea Party in a big way. We'll give you guys an update on this. It looks like there was some conservative guy that took great offense to some of the promos that Zeb Coulter had been cutting. And, I just got to go Joker for a second. Why so serious? It's like, why aren't some of these guys just realizing that this is strictly, purely entertainment? And, yeah, it's probably going to hit a little bit close to home. Some may sit up and think that this is a little bit untimely right now. But, as Jim Ross had pointed out in a latest blog that he put up, and, as we pointed out, this is nothing more than your classic story of good guy versus bad guy. And, as you pointed out last week, nothing is better than to have, that classic storyline where it's the foreigner that's putting down America, but in this case it's an American, that's putting down his own country. On the one hand, yeah, it does kind of hit close to home, but then on the other hand, it's like, okay, it's entertainment, and why is the WWE? Well, we know why, but I think it's kind of silly. They're being under fire, because they're WWE, and everybody's watching them, and as soon as it looks as though WWE is making a F up, a lot of people are going to be quick to bash them, but whenever they do something good, they don't give them good press. And, this really isn't echoing anything that some people, a lot of people at that, in the country feel, right? Diamond? Fix your headset, buddy. Diamond, I'm gonna kill that headset of yours, man. I can hear you now. Try something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did you catch all that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. What's your take on this, man?
Cover for me 1 second.
Okay. And while he's doing his thing, I just like to take this time out and let you all know that the RCWR show is being brought to you in part by Nestle Pure Water. When you need a drink of water right about now and you need to quench your thirst, Nestle Pure Life Water.
All right.
All right. Well, what's your take on this, man?
Specifically, which part of this?
Just the way people are just overreacting with Zeb Coulter, the character, these left-wing idiots that are coming out of nowhere and bashing the fact that this guy's giving a black eye to the Tea Party.
As far as the Tea Party itself, that's how they get down. Are you outraged?
I'm not outraged one bit.
I'm not outraged at all.
I'm not outraged one bit. I mean, it's like they aren't the WWE, and just wrestling promotions, period, man. We've seen this story time and time again. I mean, we've seen it with Muhammad Hassan. We saw it with Daivari. We see it with Zeb Coulter. This is no different. We saw it with the Iron Sheik. We saw it with Sergeant Slaughter. I'm not outraged one bit.
The only thing, but I think probably the one reason why that we may not be outraged is because this type of promo is geared towards people coming to this country, another nationality / American or hyphen American. You know what I mean? So I think that might be one thing. I think this is kind of new territory only from the standpoint that the character normally this type of character would be a babyface for Americans. You know what I mean? But he's being portrayed as the heel, and the foreigner is being, if you want to use that word, is being portrayed as the face. So I think it's different from that aspect because normally it's reversed, and the foreign character would be the heel. Mm-hmm. But that aside, I think that if you don't do this type of character against Del Rio, and I think that Del Rio has been doing good work, but I don't think he's been getting the reception that they've been hoping for. I think that this is a bit of I don't want to say a desperation, but a bit of something to kind of put a jolt in the Del Rio face journey, giving him a challenging situation to overcome. I think that Jack Swagger has been energized. He looks better. He's moving better. And I think that the time off of TV has helped him. And if he just morphed into this character, never leaving TV, I don't think it would have gone as smoothly as it's going to go.
Yeah. I remember the vignettes of Alberto Del Rio when he was getting ready to make his debut, and I just remembered saying to myself, yes, this guy, oh, hell yeah. It had me have flashbacks to Razor Ramon, and it's good I'm dropping that name right now because we're going to be talking about him in a little bit. But, when I saw the vignettes, I'm like, updating Razor Ramon, this is badass. I like this. And I remember how my friends, they were like, really, man? You like this guy? I said, yeah, he just reeks of awesomeness. He's like a Hispanic version of JBL. I mean, this is perfect, because, the way I was looking at it, I'm thinking back to the past few times that we've seen Hispanic wrestlers in the WWE, and, that didn't really go too well. Supermax, not Super Max, Super Crazy. Who is the other one? S.A. Rios.
Thinking of that.
Yeah, those guys didn't really,
Well, I mean, what did you think that Hoovy was a success or failure in WWE?
Honestly, I thought he was a failure.
Yeah.
I thought he was a failure. It was.
What about Eddie?
Eddie, truly the best. He was the only one that really, and I think if he were Chavo, always in the shadow of Eddie, even though he has left the WWE. He is still in the shadow of Eddie, and unfortunately, it's something he's never going to be able to get out of. He has his nights where, I'll give him credit just from a wrestling standpoint. Yeah, I mean, he's a great cruiserweight. I'll give him that, but that's about as far as I can go, But, as far as, who's been the most successful Latins in the WWE, I got to go with Eddie Guerrero there. I truly believe if he was still around, he would probably have the title right about now. It's weird, man, because I look at Alberto Del Rio and I think about those vignettes after he made his debut. I'm like, okay, car, suits, mansions. You really don't have anything else. What's going on here? And his character seemed very interesting when he was on SmackDown. But it seemed like once he got that overexposure, as I like to call it, and we've seen WWE do this time and time again, they put somebody on the SmackDown roster to test out, see how they work. Oh, this one's actually doing pretty good. Well, let's yank him. Let's try to use him for both shows. Then that guy ends up being exclusive to Raw. And, I just thought that once they did all that, it just kind of hurt his mojo a little bit. But then it was, okay, Del Rio, you want to be the man. Let's see what happens. We saw how things went down when he was a heel champion. That didn't last too long. Then they had him jobbing the folks. Now you're trying to go the babyface route. You're making him a champion. You're trying to force people to root him on. But you honestly have a good amount of fans that could care less about a babyface, Alberto Del Rio. And honestly, I think this is their last shot with Alberto Del Rio. And it's sad that it's come down to the point where they got to use the race card because to me, and I'll give them credit, at least they didn't do it off the break because then a lot of people would have sat up and said, okay, this is downright racist. This is what they can come up with. Are you serious? So, I mean, it's been a while since they've done an angle like this. But if Del Rio can't make it, I don't know, man. His days as a champion, this might be it for him. And funny thing, you know who this whole Zeb Coulter, Jack Swagger, you know what it reminds me of?
What?
It's a 1998 movie starring Edward Norton, American History X. It's just got
a little bit
of, it's got a little bit of a vibe to that. I'm like, good story though, but I want to pick your brain on something. I'm trying to think about Raw, other main highlights from Raw. How about that, before we get off Raw subject, how about that Shield? And they were taking on, who was that? Chris Jericho, Ryback, Randy Orton. How was that?
Sheamus. I mean, I really like the Shield. I like what they're doing with them. Like I said before, I think that they've learned the lessons and mistakes that they've made. I think that the Shield is a success, definitely, where aces and eights have failed. The Shield is being utilized properly, and I think that we have some future stars in the ranks of the Shield.
I mean, they followed up a great 5-star quality match at Elimination Chamber there on Raw. I mean, that was a good 6-man tag match. I can't remember the last time I saw a good 6-man tag match on Raw. those boys delivered, and of course we're already hearing the rumblings that Chris Jericho might not be on Raw next week because he's doing something with Fozzy. I'm gonna tell you guys, like I always tell you, don't believe in the rumors that you're hearing or the reports, even if it might be in print.
Especially for Chris Jericho.
Exactly. That guy stays throwing us curveballs, man. So I really can't, Were you a little bit surprised, though, that we didn't get Undertaker on this first Raw, or do you think it might have been a little bit too soon to address whether or not?
No. I think he's coming next week. Because they've built up next week's show. We're going to get that Punk and Cena. We're going to get the whatever's going to happen between Vince and Heyman. They're building up next week to be a big show. I think that we're going to see Taker next week.
Do we see Brock Lesnar next week? I mean, my God, man, Vince McMahon versus
Probably.
Paul Heyman?
I think that's definitely. I think we're going to see next week. I think it's going to be a very big show. But to me, the seeds were they have been laid the seeds, but I really think that the seeds were also planted last night for the potential of a three-way match.
Definitely.
But I think that they're trying to throw us a curveball. I think that they're trying to confuse us so we won't guess. Vince McMahon met with The Undertaker backstage last week, so we don't know the results of that yet. And I think that this match, the way that they're going with this, it could be a three-way. But I mean, if Punk does not take on Taker, what else do you do with him at WrestleMania? You got to put him in a three-way.
You have to.
I mean, are you going to have him fight Ryback? I mean, I guess that's the potential, but it just seems like that's already dead and gone.
It really does. It's like, how do you get that back up and going, when you've had your hands off of that angle for a while now? It should be very interesting to see how next week is going to play out because, I mean, it can go in either direction. But, yes, they planted the seeds very perfectly. And quite honestly, I would be game for a triple threat match for that title. I think that would really get folks, really amped up. And, everybody would be watching that match for their own personal reasons. Okay, I get to see The Rock in the main event. Okay, I get to see CM Punk in the main event. Even the hardcore John Cena fans, I get to see John Cena in the main event. There's a little bit of something for everybody in that.
Right.
I would hope that it does go that route. But then, the question, of course, would have to be asked, well, if there's no Undertaker this year, is that it? Does the streak just retire where it stands right now? What's that, 20-0 or 21-0? So he sets this one out. Does he come back for one more just to officially hang up the boots or let it be? That's the real question.
I mean, you mean if you miss one, can he come back? I mean, I don't think so.
If he missed one, can he come back, or should he just call it a done deal?
Well, I mean, it would seem like he should call it quits. But I mean, that could be part of an angle, with him coming back, and you shouldn't come back, and that could be part of the angle. But I think that Punk would be so good in a feud with the Taker at this point in his career.
Mm-hmm.
The promos alone, I mean, because if he's not coming back for Punk, who else is he coming back for? The only match that I can see left for Taker is Cena, and that's not going to happen this year.
Unfortunately, nah.
Yeah.
What about maybe Undertaker and Brock Lesnar?
I mean, they've had some Hell in a Cell matches before when he was the biker Taker, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Taker wants to work that type of match that Brock is going to dish out.
Yeah, that'll take him to the age of 70. He do that type of match. Working with Brock Lesnar, that's a physical beast right there, man. It hurts you. Just like the Miz. I'm still thinking about that damn chair. Yeah. Let me pick your brain on something. I want to switch it up a little bit, and it wouldn't be right to bring this subject up. And we saw the passing there of Lakers owner Jeryy Buss, and looks like he died at the age of 80. And he had been diagnosed with cancer for at least over a year, and it's being said that he died of kidney complications. I don't know how much of a fan of the Lakers you were, but do you have any fond memories of him and the organization there?
I mean, I'm a Heat fan, but definitely respect the Lakers. I mean, it's just, it's just one of those things. It's unfortunate, but it's just one of those things,
Yeah. I know for me personally, because I had been watching the Lakers ever since Phil Jackson had came over there. And I'm a Chicago native, first and foremost, but I've been a D.C., Maryland resident about 20 years almost. And, so I grew up watching, Jordan, Pippen, Horace Grant, Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr.
Right.
I saw all those guys. So when I saw that last run of the Bulls and everybody broke up, and it's like, okay, what's next for Phil Jackson? He goes to the Lakers. I was like, okay, this should be interesting. Let's see what happens. Then he gets Kobe Bryant. Then he follows that up with Shaq, and we just see that dominance for a couple of years there until Jackson left, and then Shaquille left, and my takeaway for Jeryy Buss, man, I mean, that guy was one of the most coolest owners around in the NBA. That's the reputation that he has, at least. I mean, he was one of those type of guys, especially when you hear about his story. I mean, you talk about someone living the real American dream. I mean, he was dirt poor, and, he gets a doctorate, and the guy goes on to, go into real estate, and then he focuses on his first passion, which is sports. And talk about the connection there for you guys in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. It was the late Jack Kent Cooke that originally had owned the Los Angeles Lakers, and the hockey team that was associated with that. And he owned a ranch, and he was able to work out a deal. He being Jeryy Buss, he was able to work out a deal with Jack Kent Cooke to get all that for like $67 million. But here was the beautiful thing. Jack Kent Cooke had to draft Magic Johnson as part of the deal because Buss, he wanted a championship. He wanted to win. That was his whole mentality. And that great combination between Magic and my mind's a little rusty right now. But, I mean, you guys know I'm talking about if you know your basketball. I want to say Abdul. I can't think of the name right now, but you think about all that great history with the Lakers, the 10 championships, and just all that. I mean, when you think about the most winningest team in the NBA, you got to give your hats off to the Lakers. And
yeah, definitely.
Jeryy Buss, he was one of those type of guys. He didn't micromanage. His whole thing was, okay, if we make this move, is this the best way to go? Perfect example, when it came down to Shaq and Kobe, it was like, okay, well, if we're going to get rid of Kobe, is this the right way to go? Are we still going to give ourselves a fighting chance winning titles? And, he didn't be all hands-on like some owners. I mean, we can look at guys like Dan Snyder and Jerry Jones. Those guys are always micromanaging something. They don't just kick back and let the personnel do their thing. And, so, I mean, he's definitely going to be missed. And definitely if you're a Lakers fan, you remember the history there with Jeryy Buss. or you don't even have to be a hardcore Lakers fan. If you just know the little stories that's out there about Jeryy Buss, definitely show your support and appreciation to them. Hit them up on Twitter, send them an email, give them your condolences. Best thing you
Absolutely.
can do. But I think the organization, though, I think they're going to be okay. I think it's in good hands. I mean, you got Phil Jackson engaged to Jeryy Buss's daughter there, who's in charge of a lot of the operations. The current team that they have right now. And you know what? Let's give credit where it's due. While it's still Black History Month, Diamond, Magic Johnson wouldn't be where he is today if it wasn't for Jeryy Buss, who took him, treated him like his own son. And Magic Johnson wouldn't even own the L.A. Dodgers right now if it wasn't for Jeryy Buss, because Jeryy told him as soon as he found out that they were up for grabs, he said, go for it. And, he taught him as soon as he came to the Lakers organization, he taught him that business side. And something when you think about at the time, it's a little bit unprecedented. You bring in a player and, you're trying to show him, the business ropes. So Johnson definitely wouldn't be where he is right now, but Jeryy Buss, he'd definitely be missed. I'm expecting a very interesting season now that the All-Star break is over with. Should be a very interesting season for the Lakers. Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's go back to wrestling.
All right. Okay.
We were talking about Scott Hall there on Sunday, gave it a little tease there. And for those of you that are not aware, Scott Hall, he recently had been talking about contemplating committing suicide there, and it was just some really emotional stuff. And if you've been keeping track of Diamond Dallas Page and Jake Snake Roberts, DDP has been doing a phenomenal job with his DDP yoga, and he's helped Jake the Snake get slimmed down by like 60 pounds. Looks like the damn Jake the Snake that we remember, just older. And he had a very emotional conversation with Scott Hall, trying to convince him to come on out to Atlanta so he can get his rehab and all that. And there was a video that was public on Diamond Dallas's page of that phone conversation, right? And it was pulled off, and I was able to get the audio for you guys. And I just want to play just 8 minutes of it, the entire track. It was actually like 9-10 minutes. I just cropped it. I just want you guys to listen to it, and we'll give you a new update on it. And Diamond, I definitely want to give you the floor, give you your thoughts on Scott Hall. So let me go ahead and play this clip for you guys.
All right.
I got a DM text from Sean Waltman, kid, Big Spock. Scott's sounding not good at all. He's talking about getting a gun, and he gave me his phone number. So what I'm going to do, I don't think he'll answer the phone, because someone who really feels like that, normally they don't want to talk on the phone, So I think we see what happens, give it a call, have Jake here, and be really tough bringing him in now anyway, but I don't think he'd want to come right now. But you never know, get that first invitation, reaching out. You want to step in this call, dude? See what happens? It's probably less than 1%, but thousands of people, right? They say, please help Scott Hall. So we'll just see what happens here if he answers the phone. Scotty.
What?
Dally. Jake and Dally.
What was this?
Dallas Page.
Oh, Dally, my gosh.
And Jake.
You got Jake. I heard Jake's doing wonderful things.
Yeah, man.
I heard you put Jake on the right path.
Yeah, we're there, bro.
I'm so happy.
There's room for one more, man. I know the feeling, man. I was too, bro. I was wanting to go, and that ain't cool, man, because there's too many people that love us, man.
I'm dying. I want to die.
I know, man. I was the same spot. I was begging for it every morning. But
I'm dying. What do I do? Just get on a plane and come to Cali? What's that?
No, come to Atlanta.
Atlanta.
You guys are in Atlanta?
Yep. Please come, man.
Where's Jake? Is Jake there?
I'm right here, man. I'm talking to you. I'm telling you, brothers, it's different, man. This work.
I mean, Jake, you know how much me and Dolly have always looked up to you.
I know, man. Well, we need you, man.
I'm dying, Jake. I'm dying. I've been drinking vodka for breakfast.
You don't need to.
The only thing that's been in my body today has been vodka.
Well, there's better places. I haven't had a drink in over 60 days, man. No drugs. I mean, I feel wonderful, man. I feel good.
No, somebody told me they saw some shit on the internet or some shit, or somebody told me that Dolly had turned you around.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I was so happy because there was a time, one time, must have been in Raleigh, North Carolina, somewhere. Me and Dolly had a showdown, like, what the fuck, motherfucker? And they did Diamond Dallas Page show with the fucking, and I'll never forget the time in New Orleans, Dolly, if you're there.
I'm here, bro.
When me and Kev went out of our way to put you over.
Put me on the map.
And they didn't even replay it.
How could you be?
You were so fucked up that you don't get fucked up.
No.
You were harassing Dan Aykroyd. Right? Ghostbuster, fuck you. I've never seen Dallas intoxicated. He was going, fuck you, Ghostbuster. Fuck you. What you gonna do? Oh, Ghostbuster. Remember that time, Dolly, when you hit me with your finish and backed off Kev over the top?
Dude, I never forget it, dude. Listen to me, bro. That night you were my protector. You're the guy who kept me from going to jail that night. So, what we're doing here, dude, it's something. It's pretty cool. I'd love you just to come up and just spend a week, and if it works, you can spend longer, bro. Just come up here and get on a plane. We'll pick you up at the airport. No booze here, no nothing though, dude. But we eat really good. You'll love it. We eat really good. We train good.
We wake up to a hot tub each morning, man. We hop in that sumbitch, and the day starts from there.
It's good, bro. A lot of people have been asking. It was a kid who sent it to me. And said, please call him. And if you remember, we talked about a month ago, and you said you called me back, and I didn't have your number, and you didn't call me back.
Well, you know why, motherfucker? Because you're not listed.
Okay, well, we're here.
We're here, man.
Fuck it. We're here, dude. Friggin', do you want,
come on, man.
You want me to come down there and get you?
No, I ain't afraid to get on a plane.
All right. Well, then come on in, bro. Come on in. We got a great house here, man. Got great people here. Jake has turned monster corners here, bro, but he wanted to do it. If you want to do it, I will fucking do anything to help you, bro.
Me too, man.
Hey, because I don't forget New Orleans, dude. I don't forget that. That was a huge part of my career that put me on the map. I don't forget that shit, all the shit me and you've been through. So I would love for you to come here. Come tomorrow.
That's all I want to play. There was 2 more minutes left, but that's all I want to play. The piece there that you had heard was Diamond Dallas Page, Jake the Snake Roberts talking with Scott Hall, trying to get him to come in. And in a new update for you guys, it looks like Scott Hall, he did touch ground in Atlanta last night while Raw was on the air, and we have posted a image of the three of them meeting at the airport. It's at our Facebook page. You can check that out if you haven't. Received a couple of comments so far. A lot of people are amazed at how old Scott Hall looks, and he's only 54 years old, but he looks like he's damn near 70. Diamond, I want to get your thoughts on these new events revolving around Scott Hall there, and if you think DDP might be biting off a little bit more than he can chew, because, I mean, we've seen WWE spend countless of thousands of dollars trying to get Scott Hall cleaned up, but it just has not been able to work. Same thing with Jake the Snake, but I don't know, man. I'm starting to believe in the power of DDP, but I don't know, man. I think this might be a little bit too much for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's not something he can tackle alone, and I think that you have a sober and a helpful Jake the Snake Roberts along for the ride. My heart definitely goes out to Scott Hall, and definitely the lows that he has found himself in. It's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, every time you turn around, the man has made headlines in a bad way over these past couple of decades, and definitely my heart goes out to him. I really hope that he's able to do this. I want him to give this a fighting chance and really go all in. Don't just go halfway. You got to do this all the way. And I think, honestly, that's why Jake the Snake is where he is right now, is because he went all the way. But, I always say this. When you go to these little sober houses, these rehab houses, you might be able to get all the tools that you need while you're there, and you might be able to do a phenomenal job while you're there. But the real test is going to be after you leave that place, and you're going to have to deal with those diddly sins, those vices that kind of got you into the trouble that you were in the first place. That's going to be the real story right there. And if Diamond is successful, I mean, to me, I would be, if I were WWE, I would be looking at this very, very closely and be like, okay, he was able to do something that we haven't been able to do for years. What's the secret? And is there any way maybe we can try to bring him in to try to help some of these other guys get clean? Because it's just, you think about all the stars over the years, man. I mean, why do you think Diamond has been so successful with Jake the Snake, man?
I think it goes to what he said. Jake wanted it. He wanted to do it. And I've heard several interviews with Jake at different periods while he was going through the DDP, the yoga, and the whole thing. And I think he felt like he was at the end. And one thing that I thought was chilling about the segment that you played was that Scott Hall said he was dying. Mm-hmm. He's at his end. He's clearly had a lot of episodes. A lot of people have washed their hands of him. Different family members, some friends, and it's one of those. He definitely does not look like the guy of his heyday right now. He definitely is a shell of his former self, and I think that if he doesn't do this, he potentially is going to be the next wrestling tragedy. Yeah, this really is looking like it's his last shot, and hopefully he makes the best of it. And it's so funny because back in the day, a couple of years ago, you used to be able to turn on ESPN Classic at about 12, 1 o'clock, or 2 in the morning, and you used to be able to watch for a whole hour AWA.
And I remember when he had came through there as what was that?
Scott
Magnum.
Hall.
Yeah, Scott Hall. Yeah. I was like,
he was big Scott Hall too.
That was a big boy back in the day, man. He was huge, man. And you know, you just think about where he is now, and it's like, if it wasn't for the eyebrows, the eyes, and the slick back hair, you really wouldn't know who the heck it is. And I'm really going to be rooting for him. I know there's some folks out there. I know there's a lot of Scott Hall fans. Definitely send him your thoughts and prayers. And DDP, I wish him nothing but the best. I mean, he's been having phenomenal work so far with DDP Yoga. I mean, man, he damn near brought, was that Shawn Michaels back? He brought Chris Jericho back, who originally thought he was done a couple of years back because his back was a little screwed up. He's brought a good number of people back, so seeing what he's been doing with Jake so far should be very interesting to see how this plays out. You know, surprisingly, you know, usually we don't open up the phone lines because we like to just kick back and just cover whatever, but I guess just this one time, I see we got somebody that would like to chime in their thoughts about something, so I'm going to go ahead and let them slide on in here. We got a caller from the 704 area code, and when you come on the air, let us know your name and where you're calling from. And I saw Chris wanted to talk earlier, too. Chris, buddy, if you want to chime in your thoughts, I don't want to put you in a spot, but if you had wanted to get on the air, just press that option, because I know I saw him do it earlier, but looks like he got disconnected there. Let's go to 704. You're live on the air.
Hey, Lee, what's happening? This is Phil Broom, man. The Blog Talk radio feed stopped, and I've been hitting refresh, and it still hasn't come back up, so I've been listening to you guys on the phone, man. That's kind of why I called in a little bit, but I'll talk with you, definitely.
No, we appreciate that. And if you guys just missed what Phil has said there, if you're having problems on your browser, then make sure you call in. You can listen to the episode that way. The number you want to call is 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. We like Phil. Phil's a long-time listener. How you been, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I like listening to your show, man. You're on point with some stuff, and I even tuned in. You had about 25, 30 people with that slow jam, man. That was some cool stuff.
Yeah, that was some good stuff,
There were some different people that came in on that.
Yeah, we did, man, yeah. It wasn't even supposed to run 3 hours. I was just supposed to do 2 hours as agreed with the little lady, but, you know, she was like, damn, this is good. Do another hour. I said, all right.
Hey, yo, man, you was cutting tracks for Marvin Gaye, man. You was putting on Percy Sledge. I mean, you put on a little Janet from 92. I mean, you put on, and people in the chat room, and I was one of them, was talking about, and we've gone way over to the side from Scott Hall, but music nowadays just sucks. Them damn boy bands in the 90s, man, they just killed it ever since. I can't stand hear it. You don't even have to be able to sing nowadays. They just, you talk and the computer synthesizes your voice. So
all I gotta say is PSY, man. Whoever that guy's name is, Gundam
Hey,
Style.
yeah, that's the number one song in the country is Gangnam Style. Which I have no hate in my heart for the man. Go out, make some money, get your cut, man, get your check. But me, I'm not gonna go out and buy Gangnam Style. I'm sorry.
There you go. So yeah, man. So what did you thought about Raw from last night? Rock unveiling a new title there.
I thought the title was pretty cool, man. I thought that my favorite part about Raw, if I'm being honest with you, is the new Jack Swagger angle and what's going on.
Definitely.
The interesting thing about that angle is and there was, like Alex Jones, for example, he kind of had a rant a little bit today and was upset, but I think because professional wrestling fans are actually pretty smart, those of us that have been around for a while, and when, I don't know the guy's name yet, but when he was talking, he was saying things like, you know, if you don't belong in this country, if you snuck in here or whatever the deal is, you know, you really shouldn't be here. and they wanted boos, but nobody was really booing.
Mm-mm.
And he was saying, you know, hey, I've served in Vietnam for a year. You know, hey, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution. Nobody's billing that. You know, I'm sitting there thinking, or booing that, excuse me. I'm sitting there thinking, hell yeah. You know, we the people. That's what this country is about. It's about the founding fathers, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, individual liberty, and all that. I think actually that this angle is a bit of a swerve. I think that they're maybe starting it out to be kind of that racist kind of undertone, kind of propagated insinuation that's been out there about the Tea Party. But the more that people listen to this guy, because of the attitude in the country right now, I think more people are going to say, yeah, you know, Bill of Rights, Constitution, habeas corpus, you know, search and feature, right to a fair trial, not having a drone fly over my house and either spy on me or, you know, who knows what happened. That police officer in California that was held up, you know, they cut the news feed and all of a sudden his place starts on fire. You know, those types of things are going on ever since 9/11 happened. People in this country, you know, they can people feel it. People know that something's not right, and I actually think, and that's kind of the derivative of the Tea Party in a sense. But I think it's an interesting angle. I think as far as the entertainment side goes, I think it is going to throw some fuel on the fire, and I think that it's going to make the world title match all that more interesting.
Those are some damn good words, Phil. Thank you for that. I like that. I agree with everything that he said there. And, you know, Phil, you pointed out something very interesting, and I remember I had rewinded Raw while Zeb was talking there. And it's funny. I don't know if you had peeped this out, but, you know, there was actually people actually cheering what Zeb was saying. It was like, yeah, preach on, man. You're absolutely right. And, I mean, let's go there. I mean, let's be honest here. This is really hitting a subject that a lot of people have felt has been a problem for years, you know. And I can tell you firsthand, let me keep it real here for a second. I remember a couple of years back, I used to work at this warehouse. It was kind of like Sam's Club, BJ's, and it was run predominantly by Hispanics. We had a Hispanic warehouse manager. We had supervisors, people that ran the forklifts. They were Hispanic. You know, there was a little bit of minority in there, and the minority, it was really Ethiopians, small percentage of blacks. I mean, if I were to just make a pie chart, I would say out of the entire warehouse, it was probably like 40 Hispanics, 16 Ethiopians, 4 blacks. That's pretty much it. And, you know, I worked as a cashier, and, you know, I remember how grueling I used to just in and out. You know, I'd be there till morning, until closing. I'm just doing the damn thing, and everybody's like, oh, you know, this is one of your best cashiers. You should definitely, you know, move this guy up, make him a supervisor, blah, 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 yakety smackety. And every single time the books had opened, I kept getting shafted because of some BS politics. And yet, you bring in a Hispanic, and, you know, they were just, you know, you could have, and I'll never forget this, and this really had hit close to home for me. There's this one day it was raining. A brother had came in, drenched, wearing a nice suit and all, but he was drenched. Had a manila file folder with his resume. Showed it to the warehouse manager, bear in mind Hispanic. Said, okay, yeah, it looks good. Well, you know, I don't really have anything open right now, but if anything becomes available, I'll definitely give you a call. Keep in mind that there was a big-ass fucking now hiring sign out front. So this guy in the rain, drenched, he rolls out. I bullshit you not. I swear on my life. About 10 minutes later, I see a Hispanic come in, barely speak a lick's worth of English. He comes in. And luckily I understand a little bit of Spanish, so I was able to get the translation. Caesar, this is the guy I was telling you about. Guy has no resume, nothing, gets hired on the spot. Actually starts working the same damn day. This is the type of stuff that's going on in this country today. Now, I'm not going to be very critical, because I'm I get along with everybody. All my friends are Hispanic, white, you name it. You call me a racist, I'll tell you you don't know me because, my girlfriend is white. My sister's husband, he's Hispanic, so you don't know me if you want to jump out there. But this is a problem that we're seeing in this country today. Now, on the one hand, we got Americans that'll sit up and say, stop taking our jobs. We need them. We got to pay our bills. We got to send our family. We got to send our kids off to school. They got all this talk going on. But then when you sit up and say, okay, you want a job? Let's build this house. Let's build this train station. Let's clean these toilets. Americans, they have too much pride. They don't want to do those jobs that they feel is demoralizing, that they feel that the pay, it's too little. And, that's a large part why those jobs go to someone that comes from this country, illegally, and honestly, they have my respect in the world. I get that, man. It's bad in your country. You'll want to provide the best opportunity to you and your family as much as possible. I love that. I believe in the land and the opportunity. That's what makes this country so freaking great, man. You can say whatever you want to say. I mean, you could right to bear arms, whole 9 yards. I love that. My whole thing is come into the country the right way. That's my only thing I would say to that. Other than that, I don't have a problem with you. And that goes for anybody of all ethnic backgrounds. So, this storyline that WWE is doing, this is basically the way I look at it, Diamond, and I want to get your take. I look at this as a Law and Order ripped from the headlines. That's basically what they're doing. And if you're not familiar with Law and Order, basically they do this from time to time. Every season they'll take a big, juicy storyline that was pretty popular in the papers. Like I'm pretty sure it's just going to be a matter of time before they rip from the headlines what went down there with that LL Cool J cop lookalike, that got burned up in the house. I'm pretty sure they'll give that a little Law and Order twist. But this is something that WWE, they've been no stranger to. They've done it several times over the years. Is the timing right? I think the timing is right. And, that's all I got to say. I think the timing is right, Diamond.
Well, I definitely understand, what you were saying earlier. Some of the realities in this country and the way things go. Big scale. I hope that we can, move wrestling in the 21st century and get it where it needs to be, because there's so many things from the past that still exist that are just ignored. Hopefully, this is a move into the right direction.
Yeah. This is, the payoff for this, it's going to be big if they do this right. And I think WWE is off to a good start. They're going to be in a position where they got the right guy, Alberto Del Rio, champion for the people, for those underdogs, for those people that believe in the land of the opportunity, the American dream. It's going to be a big celebration when he gets that win over Jack Swagger, but I still have to bring in the X Factor, man. What about Dolph Ziggler? That's what it's all about. I would like to do this show a little bit longer, man, but I'm really not feeling Blog Talk Radio tonight, and it looks like we're going to continue to experience problems throughout the night, and we got enough editing as we got to do as it is. So for those of you that might have missed this from the beginning, Give me about 30 minutes. I'm going to actually clean this up. I'm going to cut out all the blank spaces and all that, remix it up for you guys, and it'll be available in the archives. It'll also be available in the iTunes, Zune marketplaces, also on Stitcher. Just use the keywords, the RCWR show. Hopefully this will be resolved by Thursday night. If not, I don't know, Diamond. We might not even do a show on Thursday. I'll probably end up getting off work a little early on Thursday and test out the switchboard, see if everything's running smoothly, and then if it is, I'll hit you up with an email and let you know if we're going to do a show or not. But that's going to do it. I think we did a good show, though. I think we covered a lot of good points tonight. Damn good show tonight. Phil, thank you for those comments. I don't know. We might try to open up the phone line again next time around. If not, then definitely the next go-around of our next pay-per-view that's coming up. All right, so pending everything goes smoothly this Thursday night, you'll probably hear us talk about the fallout from TNA Impact Wrestling as seen on Spike TV. We'll be coming on at 10 p.m. Eastern. You know the name of the show, Impact Showdown Radio. Talk of wrestling may end here, but it continues on at our website at Infinity One Productions, where we cover so much more than wrestling. Be Kind Rewind. Check out those episodes that I mentioned, all of them. Great episodes that we've done last week. Great episodes that we continue to put out on a weekly basis. Check them all out on iTunes, all your respectable portable devices. For the one and only Diamond K, Black Avenger Lee Sanders, I'm wishing you guys to be safe, be kind to one another, folks. We'll see you Thursday night. Everybody, take care.